Now we come to a first. The first time ever in all of those 37 World Congresses, so since 100 and, what was it, 1903? 1915, I've forgotten the date of the first one, but the first time ever in all of those World Congresses, one of the things that the scientific committee led by Michaela Testo, whom I congratulated earlier, was very clear about was we had to do something that would involve the academic community with which we interact at so many levels in our profession in the World Congress. And so the scientific committee invited the submission of original research papers from academics to be published on the occasion of this, the 19th World Congress. And the challenge for the academics was to stimulate and feed the debate around the theme of the Congress, 2020 vision, learning from the past, building the future. You know, 2020 vision for Anglo-Saxon speakers is a really clever title because that's defined as perfect vision. Except when you translate that into other countries, it's like 10-10 vision. So we didn't use it as 2020 being perfect vision, but we were in fact referring to the date, 2020. Submissions were judged on originality, the methodology that they had used, the soundness of the arguments, the significance of the results, the relevance to the conference theme, and what we thought would be the interest for you, the attendees. The panel received 90 abstracts, which for a first call in any academic environment is a very good number. They received 90 abstracts. The panel considered which 90 they thought worthy of asking the authors to develop into more full papers. And they asked 40 of those 90 to develop fuller submissions. And of those 40, all the researchers completed their task and submitted papers. And then was the difficult choice. The scientific review panel had to narrow that number down from 40. They ended up identifying 6 papers that they wanted to commend, one of which would receive a recognition as the best paper amongst the ones submitted for this Congress. And while I've been talking about this being an electronic conference, if you have opened your backpack and wondered why it's so heavy, you will see it has a book which has a lot of information in it. And starting on page 112 is our commitment to the academic community to publish for all 4,000 of you delegates present and to make available on the internet later the 6 papers that were considered to be highly recommended. So you can track them there, but it's my pleasure just to remind you of the titles and the group of academics or writers, not all of them are necessarily full-time academics, who commissioned those papers and wrote those papers. After I've done that, after I've done that, I'm going to invite the scientific review panel, who had to do all the work look at these, to come and join me on stage. Then I'm going to invite the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, whose institute is sponsoring this academic program, to come on stage as well, call up the winners, present them with their awards, and then the president will make a few words directly to you, the audience. So the highly commended papers. First, Sharing Knowledge, Public Management Letters, and a New Way to Fulfill the Public Role of Accountants, written by Dr. Irene Kramer and Dr. Robert Moel of the Dutch accounting body member of EICPA. Second, Outcome Budgeting in the Public Sector, Challenges and Solutions, an Exploratory Empirical Study, Alistair McNabb from the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh, and Falconer Mitchell from the University of Edinburgh Business School. Then Intellectual Capital Disclosure, Audit Risk and Audit Fees, Evidence from the UK and Italy, Sara Trucco of the University of Pisa, Chiara Di Martini of the University of Pavia. Then implementation of mandatory IFRS financial disclosures in a voluntary format, evidence from the Italian XBRL project on listed companies. Andrea Frediani of the University of Macerata, Carlo Regogliosi of the Roma Tre University, Alessandro Deri, also of Roma Tre, and Francesco Campanari from the University of Macerata. And then the international advisory services provided by small and medium-sized accountancy practices, SMPs, for SMEs. Professor Robin Jarvis from Brunel University, Dr. Maria Cristina Stoyan, also from Brunel University, and Rosanna Merkovic from the Association of Chartered and Certified Accountants. So from these 6 papers, one will be announced as the winner, which is in your book, but I haven't read out to you. So if you've been following, you now know who the winners are, because I've told you 5 papers, and there are 6 in the book. But before announcing the winner, let me introduce the scientific review panel and ask them to come up and join us on stage. And I'm giving the names in alphabetical order. Dr. Ian Ball, former Chief Executive Officer of IFAC and Chair of Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy International. Alain Berlot, Professor Emeritus at the Conservatoire National des Arts et Métiers in France. Mariano D'Amore, Professor at Parthenope University in Italy and a member of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. Philip Johnson, a former president of FEE and an audit committee member with the Wellcome Trust in the United Kingdom. And Chiara Mio, professor at Ca' Foscari University in Italy. The panel had 2 other members who are unable to be with us today. Annette Kohler, professor from the University of Duisburg-Essen and a member of the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board in Germany, and Susan Wright, a member of the Ethics Standards Board's Consultative Advisory Group and an associate professor at Macquarie University in Australia. And now I tell you, this is the hardest part of my afternoon. I would love to have the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria join me on the stage, Chidi Onyeukwu Ajaegbu. I hope you don't mind, I'm going to call you Chidi. Thank you. Welcome.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. On behalf of my institute, I'd like to invite the winners of this year's academic award to come to the podium for presentation. Please, the 3 authors should please join us here. Thank you.
So the 3 winners are Dr. Cristina Rossinelli from the University of Munster, Institute of Business to Business Marketing, Professor Klaus Backhaus, also from the University of Munster, and Professor Hans-Jürgen Kirsch, also of the University of Munster. Thank you all very much. You're going to go to the podium and say some words.
Yes,
I'll let these off the stage. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to especially congratulate the new president of IFAC, Mrs. Olivia Cotley. On behalf of members and council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, I'm indeed delighted to be part of this award ceremony today. Old theories are being challenged and previously established practices called to question by emerging complex business scenarios. Today, many countries of the world are still struggling to emerge from the challenges of global economic crisis, bringing to the fore the inevitability of a paradigm shift in governance and reporting, hence the need for continuous research. The calls for advocacy, greater fiscal responsibility, and transparency have become more stringent than ever, and the need for reform is an ongoing imperative. Indeed, in the developing economies, this is more critical as we try to promote best practices, encourage fiscal responsibility, especially in governance, and gain better understanding of associated risk. To address these challenges, therefore, we must, as a collective, continually seek to bridge the gaps between the theory and practice, between the academia and the real world. This academic research initiative is therefore a critical step in that strategic process, as it would encourage fresh thinking, stimulate new perspectives that can proactively impact on the way we do things. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria is therefore honored to be the sponsor of this academic award. It is a crystallization of our strategic vision over the years and a concrete way of showing our commitment to the development of the accountancy profession in Africa's most populous nation and biggest economy. Nigeria, with a GDP of over $531 billion, and indeed the whole world. As a founding member of EICPA in 1977, and having produced its deputy president in 1982, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria for the past 50 years has been at the forefront of grooming professional accountants in Nigeria for Nigeria and the rest of Africa and indeed the world. Through its Accounting Research Foundation, the Institute annually gives grants to numerous doctoral accounting students in tertiary institutions in Nigeria, as well as award scholarships to the best and the brightest students to write our certification examinations. This award today is the internationalization of our vision of supporting research. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria is therefore proud to be associated with the 2014 Prize for the Academic Research. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Chidi. Congratulations again to our colleagues from Munster. Well done.